Monica showed us this wood carving with Bess on it, which was found in a swamp near Kaitaia. What caught our attention was the Birdman motif at each end. This is a motif believed to be unique to Easter Island. This island, according to local legend, was discovered by a red-haired Peruvian leader or matua named Hotu Matua. Hotu Matua, who shares Monica's tribal name Hotu, is said to have brought 67 Orongo tablets from Peru, a record of their history as a nation. These were written in a script almost identical to one in the Middle East that was abandoned after a war that destroyed the Indus civilization 3,500 years ago. The war that forced Monica's ancestors to flee. When Dr. A. Carroll deciphered one of these tablets in 1892, it showed that it contained a record of many wars in Peru prior to Hotu Matua's escape to Easter Island. The meaning of Hotu Matua is the leader who weeps. Hardly surprising considering they'd fled the conflict in the Middle East, only to be forced again to escape Peru and then end up on an isolated speck of land in the Pacific. An island that was named Te Pito o Te Whenua, which literally means the finish of the land. A land upon which over 1,000 statues were carved as monuments to their once great nation. Hotu Matua's descendants eventually went on to colonize many islands in the Pacific, taking with them South American plants such as the pineapple, pawpaw and sweet potato. They also took with them the remnants of their Middle Eastern culture. This may help solve many mysteries about the connections between the Middle East, the Americas and the Pacific. To many people, the South American connection to the Polynesians and Easter Islanders is obvious. Stonework similarities, reed surfboards, kontiki-like carvings, and ceremonial towers known as the tupa in Easter Island, the chulpa in Peru, and the as yet unrecognised stone cairns of New Zealand. However, the Rongarongo Stone in Cornwall Park in Auckland was built in identical fashion to the Orongo village houses in Easter Island and the chulpa of Peru.
This is the Rongarongo Stone, and it's come down off one of the Auckland hills. Maori used to venerate particular stones that had a much older lineage. They didn't necessarily, in every case, know what the meaning of the stone actually was, but this one is dedicated or in veneration of the potato god. And in our museums around the Auckland area especially, we have many of the potato god statues. Also on Makoia Island, there's a very, very good statue there of the South American potato god.
Legend also has it that Orongo had red hair and was from Easter Island. When he arrived with the Kumara, where did he land? I'm in a place called Orongo Bay. Now, Orongo Bay is situated in the Bay of Islands on the east side of North Island of New Zealand. And had anybody been sailing to this location from the Eastern Pacific, this would have been a truly perfect place to land. There's mangrove forests full of fish and food, and they would have been able to feed their people very easily. Orongo, after whom the bay is named, is one such sailor. And he is actually elevated to the level of a god in New Zealand history. He is the god of the Coomera. It is well documented that the Coomera came from South America, and to this day, Coomera is a staple crop in New Zealand. Underneath many of these Coomera plantations are the remnants of drainage ditches that early people used to irrigate, fertilize, and gain access to their crops. The Aztecs in Central America built very similar drainage ditches.
They're draining these swamps for some unknown reason in the early days, or whether they were a passage for a boat.
Not far inland from Orongo Bay, set amongst the Coomera fields of Northland, is a par site called Te Ahuahu. This name refers to the gods of Easter Island, Aku Aku. This evidence clearly connects New Zealand to Easter Island, but are there any people who can attest to that? Yes, there are. There is a founding tribe who say they come from Easter Island, and their name is the Waitaha.
They call me what they call Ngā Upukari, which is chief of all chiefs. My full name is Hori Kupuna Manuka Manuka, but they call me George Conley. And I come from the Kaipara here. My tuberous went right back into Waitaha.
Where did they originally come from?
They originally came from East Island, and they only get hit here, they call themselves Waitaha. You know what Waitaha means? Beside the water. Up here, Waitaha started up here and went down to the South Island hunting moa.
Yeah, some of them did go down the South Island. Well, Waitaha can connect back to me because originally they lived around Taupo. Oh, my grandson, I sent him to Taranaki because there were some people there from Waitaha.
Okay.
And he met them. And when he met this woman over in Taranaki, he said he was looking at me.
There is indeed a strong resemblance between these people. While we were driving around New Zealand, not only did we see signs pertaining to Easter Island, but also in both South and North Islands, the extensive evidence of Waitaha presence. Noel Hilliam added this to the Waitaha story.
Oh, that's the Waitaha carving that originally
Waitaha.
Maxine found. And
Why do we think that's the Waitaha carving? What is it about it that's Waitaha?
because it's got a 5-fingered hand, and the style of carving, and also the old Waitaha lady that got hold of me, where the village was, when we go down there and exactly where Maxine found the carving.
Barry Brailsford, writer and historian, has studied the oral history of the Waitaha for many years.
And when this story began, when the elders called me to tell the story of Waitaha, to bring it out for the first time, they said it's a very multicultural story. It has huge strands that intertwine. And a lot of people won't believe a bit of it. But it's the truth of our lives. But they're all in songs. They're all in chants. And they're held within places we call houses of wānanga, storehouses of knowledge. Within the wānanga there still remained over 3,000 chants that carried the old law, that described everything of their history, their past, that described their relationship with all around them. That was the core of their life. The first time I wanted to sit with them, the first time I was invited to sit to them, unfortunately was rather late at night. And they said, "Who do you want to hear about?" And I said, the Rā Kaihotu, the great explorer, the great navigator. And they said, "Oh, yes. Yes, we have a wonderful, wonderful Waitaha song of Rā Kaihotu." And Yeah, yes, but it lasts for 2 days. And I looked a bit crestfallen, you know. So Waitaha travelled here from Easter Island. They sailed here on Great Waka of a crew of 170. Half of them were men, half of them were women, because that's the way Waitaha moved. They had a society that said, we don't walk without that relationship of men and women. The mainstream understanding has still got a long way to go. At the moment, our history in New Zealand for the arrival of the first people goes back a mere 800 years at the very most. But in fact, you know, if we start getting the deeper story, then Waitaha say they came here something like 77 generations ago, which is, that's nearly 2,000 years. But when they came, they said there were people already here.
So it seems that intermarriage between the native redhead population and the newly arrived blackhead Polynesians formed the basis of New Zealand's heritage. This was reiterated by Ngāpuhi leader David Rankin, who is quoted as saying, "Who were those red-headed, fair-skinned people who greeted our walkers? We can't deny our oral history. If we try to, as Maori, we're actually denying our history." It appears there were many tribes descended from these light-haired people with green eyes, but despite their different genetic makeup, the Waitaha and the Ngāti Hotu have contributed dynamically to Maori culture and have formed the foundation of many tribes today.
Kia tu ngā mana ki tanga e te